All right, good evening. I've got 6:30, so I'll call to order this meeting of the Columbus Common Council, regular meeting for Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. When you're ready, could you please take the roll?
Hendrickson?
Here.
Kenny?
Here.
Malat?
Here.
Reed?
Here.
Rule? Absent? Or excused? Tome?
Here.
Trexler?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. If able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting has been noticed appropriately in accordance with state statutes and local ordinances. The next item then is to approve the agenda. Unless there's any alterations or deletions, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved. Thank you. On to number 5 then, which is correspondence and communications. We have 2 commemorations this evening on our agenda. The first one is recognition for Troy Kehoe for completion of the Public Works training. Tonight we have DPW Director Davis Clark present to give a short description of the program and to recognize Troy for his accomplishments.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Like you said, the American Public Works Association puts on a series of classes for training. There's 90 hours of training in this, and when completed, you have the Public Works Supervisor Academy and the Public Works Management Institute. Troy Kehoe has completed all these classes. It takes about a year and a half. And there's a variety of classes: basic management, nuts and bolts of personnel, equipment, workplace safety, budgeting, engineering. There's all types of classes. What was fun to see is when Troy would do some of these classes, he would come back excited about what he learned and wanting to share that with the rest of the crew. So I've taken these classes, Jenny's taken them, and now Troy has completed them. And so tonight we'd like to recognize Troy Kehoe for this and present him with his plaque and certification. Troy? And he's got a speech all lined up for you. Plaque. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Say anything?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Davis. Then next we have a recognition for Peter Kalin as Columbus Public Library Volunteer of the Year, and tonight we have the Library Director Cindy Fessmeyer is present to recognize and award Peter Kalin the Columbus Public Library Volunteer of the Year. Hi, Cindy.
Hey guys, thank you for having us in. So starting in 2015, the library began honoring its volunteers, and we very much rely upon our volunteers, especially now that we have 2 buildings that we're sort of populating. In 2015, when we began the award, it went to the fabulous Friends of the Library who fundraise and help support the programming that we do every year for us. In 2016, we honored Mary Jo Wentz, who was our Master Gardener Extraordinaire. And last year in 2017, we're honoring Peter Kalin, who on the plaque says is a lifetime library lover, and I will briefly tell you what that means. Pete has devoted much of his adult life to libraries and to learning. He taught at the Columbus High School starting in 1968, the year of my birth. He got his master's degree in library science in 1980 and moved into a position there at the school as a librarian and AV director at the high school. During that time, he also served as the library liaison to the school liaison to the library board. One of our people is always the school superintendent or their appointee. So Pete, for many, many years, was the appointee for the school to serve on the library board. Upon his retirement from Columbus High School, about 10 years ago, he stayed with the library board and served the majority of those years as the president of the board. And for that and everything, we thank him very much.
Contrary to Troy, I could speak at great length. I remember Troy as a student. I guess I got my start in the libraries at Mead Public Library in Sheboygan back in the days where the neat thing was that they had stereoscopes. I don't know if you remember, if any of you people are old enough to know what those are. And 16 millimeter films in the basement of the Mead Public Library. I did serve some time on the city council. At that time, library liaison was something that council members really didn't want to do. You know, everybody wanted to be on public works or judiciary or finance or things like that, but I did get a start as library liaison, moved on to, as Cindy said, representative of the school, and then I think for the last 6 or 8 years, 9 years, I've been appointed to the board by the mayor. I think great things are happening in the library, and I think great days are ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I don't believe we had anyone else signed up officially under correspondence and communications, but was there anyone else present this evening that didn't get a chance to sign up that wished to speak? Seeing none, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have council minutes for January 4th of 2018, Columbus Water and Light minutes for December 13th, 2017, HLPC minutes for December 14th, 2017, and a treasurer's report for December 2017. Unless there's any questions or desire to separate any of the consent agenda items, I'll take a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. No unfinished business this evening, so we go on to new business number 1, which is consider and take action on Resolution 1-18, a preliminary resolution declaring intent to levy special assessments under municipal police powers pursuant to Section 66.0703 of the statutes. We reviewed this at the Committee of the Whole at the last meeting, and it's been forwarded here. We have a copy of the resolution at our desks if there's any questions, and that language has been tweaked a little bit since the Committee of the Whole to, I believe, eliminate the cost on the administrative fees. Any questions on this? If there are no questions, I'll entertain any motions.
I'll make a motion to approve, approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve Resolution 01-18, a preliminary resolution declaring intent to levy special assessments under municipal police powers pursuant to Section 66.0703 of the statutes. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, could we please take a roll call on that?
Kenny?
Aye.
Reed? Trexler?
Aye.
Malat?
Aye.
Hendrickson?
Aye.
Passes.
Thank you. Just to be clear for anybody watching, that resolution basically starts off this process. There's a public hearing involved as well, so there's plenty of room for input from the community about this process, so thank you. Number 2 then is consider and possible action on change order number 2 for the TID number 4 utility project. We have Jason Letha here. I know there were a couple of things dangling from the Committee of the Whole that he's cleaned up, so hi Jason.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you in your packets tonight is the revised information that we talked about at the Committee of the Whole. We went back and talked to the contractor and kind of reworked this a little bit. You see the totals come down some. Essentially, there's a more detailed breakdown here of associated costs with basically the labor and the equipment that was used for that work that was previously described. If you recall, there was a math error. In reviewing this, the contractor did note that he had a blasting that was not included in that last quote. So although the math error was corrected, he came up with another reason to add some costs back in. But with that being said, he did credit back, and obviously the amount has dropped about 10% of what was originally proposed. So I think that what happened was there was some good faith effort to give a little credit back based off of what the initial cost was. What he's proposing is just $17,000, which is a flat rate. I think he was at 18,000 and some odd dollars last time. And so that's kind of where we received it. I mean, I put the information back in the packet for consideration. I think that certainly, again, he performed the work. It's a little hard, I guess, to question exact, costs associated with the pieces of labor and the equipment. But looking again based off of rates, it would seem reasonable to us. So. I don't know if there's any questions or anything else that you would want back from the contractor in considering this. I know we were going to bring it back here for consideration, again, based off the new information. So I guess I'll answer any questions if I can based on the conversations we had with the contractor.
Trina?
Oh, just a super quick question. For the 2 extra drills fee, were those drills that were broken from the hard stone? I just can't remember.
No, that was the actual drilling that had to occur based off the fact that they had to re-drill because of the size of the holes had to be smaller for the charges. The original drill holes were 2-inch diameter, which they would have normally blasted, but since they had to blast in smaller charges, they had to drill smaller holes to make sure that the explosives that they packed didn't they have to be packed tight in the smaller holes with the smaller charges. So again, there was some re-drilling there that occurred after they had attempted to drill and break mechanically, which obviously failed. So.
So the total amount being requested is $17,000, correct?
Yeah, correct. And if you look at the back page or the bottom of the last page, it did indicate that I think he was 18,000 some last time, and he added in that blasting charge. So he basically said the total cost for him was 20,000, but he's looking at to recoup 17 of this. So it's questionable. That it, again, I know he kind of went up and then credited back, but, I think in the end, we're about 10% lower again than I think when we were in here last time. In actuality, it's more than 10% based off his readjusted number and his, I guess, omitted blast charge that he didn't have that one blast in last time. And the number of blasts do add up. I mean, I will say that the fact that he omitted a blast last time was factual. I mean, he had those blast charges. They did blast the correct number of times that he's indicating.
And we are still under budget from what we had figured the initial estimate was going to
Oh,
be
yeah,
on the project.
definitely. 'Cause the project came in, I had the numbers last time. I apologize I didn't have them this time, but definitely the project came in lower. I want to say it was about $70,000 below the budget. And so this change order adds back in the 17,000. As we had indicated, obviously, we have quite a bit of the work completed now, so I don't foresee anything pending that we're aware of now that would add any additional cost back into the project.
Alder Kenny, did you have a question?
Yeah, and Jason, last time we talked about this, I guess I asked you kind of, was any outreach done to We Energies? Because I feel like We is not sitting at the table as part of this conversation, and they're the ones that, directly kind of led to this whole change. Mm-hmm. The last paragraph in the end of what was submitted by Forest Landscaping states, work included in project bid prior to information about We installing high-pressure gas was about $9,500. Work added after We gas high pressure main installed to close for normal drilling, blasting, excavation. All the additional stuff that they've added up is the 20,000, which I'm assuming has been adjusted now to that 17
Yes,
number.
correct.
They're in concurrence that I think with us potentially that We is kind of responsible for some of this. So have we talked to them at all or involved them at all in this conversation? Has Forrest reached out to them at all to ask them for this stuff? Because again, I'm really hesitant to have a change order for this amount fall into our laps. Yes, it is less in project cost, but to do due diligence for taxpayer dollars.
Right, and so we were fairly active once we learned of the We Energy plans to install the gas main to try and coordinate to avoid any potential conflict or timing issues. We Energy's basically said, we're under contract to install our gas main by X date. We will do what we can to help facilitate and work around the construction. But we have the proper easements that we have from the private parties. And, you know, the city doesn't, I mean, we really don't have any control over that. So they really can install the gas main when they want, although we kind of ask for them to delay and to help us out a little bit. You know, their response to us is, you know, we have a deadline to meet too, and, you know, we have to install this. So it's not We Energy's, I guess, they don't have to come from this to the city and ask for
Yeah.
permission to do it, is what I'm getting at. So, you know, I think unfortunately this to me is more of a case of just us not knowing about this occurring and the timing being unfortunate that it happened right before we were there to do our work. Does that make them liable for any of the costs? I think you could ask, but I don't know that, you know, they would feel like they had any, you know, they were just out there installing their property. They had all the approvals that they needed to do the work. We haven't specifically asked for them to reimburse this, but I guess I felt like that, you know, answer was probably self-evident just from the fact that they had all the approvals and we don't have the authority to, you know, deter them from doing their work. So I'm sure they would say, well, it's unfortunate, but, you know, we had to do our thing too, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wish we have that conversation, I mean, I haven't specifically asked the question, but, you know, that would be probably my thought as to what their response would be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just would like, for me, I'd like to see kind of what they package up here. For I mean, I think Forrest did a pretty good job of kind of showing that there was a lot of additional work because of that, and with the close proximity of timing, and they decided to kind of just blow on through and let it fall on our lap. And, you know, they might have all their stuff in line, but at the end of the day, they blow through, spend a little amount of money, and then we at the city kind of end up paying, holding the bag. So I'd like to see at least push forward to we and say, you know, I know you had all your stuff, but a little bit of coordination could have saved us, you know, $10,000 or $15,000 or whatever it might have been. I think you guys should be part of the conversation. We're probably gonna get a big fat no, but I guess you don't know until you ask.
I guess does that have any bearing on the fact of approving the change order? I mean, we certainly can, but maybe that's a reimbursement piece to the city for that.
Yeah.
So I guess if, you know, I don't see holding the contractor kind of hostage to that conversation really is his fault.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm internally struggling whether or not we pay part of it and go that route, or, you know, hold off on Forrest and kind of, they did the work in the end, and
Absolutely.
I'm
And-
leaning towards paying it and then us doing our due diligence on our end and not holding up something that they obviously end up doing the work.
I'm more than willing to reach out and have that conversation. I can certainly report back to what the conclusions are or what their response is, and see what they have to say. I mean, it never hurts to ask.
Yeah, I mean,
guess.
at the end of the day, We's gonna come to us in the future in the city limits and ask for a lot of stuff and tit for tat on stuff, you know, so.
Right. Yeah, they did a significant amount of work on our projects and probably will be again this year, so.
Thank you.
Was the amount of blasting really known at the beginning of this project, Jason, when you did the core samples? I mean, it sounds like there was more blasting required than what we had anticipated.
Because they were smaller charges, I mean, the contractor essentially accounted for one blast with a larger charge, and we ended up doing multiple drills and multiple blasts because of that high-pressure gas main being installed. The way we had put this contract together was we put the responsibility on the contractor as part of the lift station cost to do the blasting. If it was required, again, until we exposed the rock and we tried by mechanical methods to remove it, we weren't sure that we would need to blast. So the way we wrote the contract was, we don't care what you need to do to remove the rock, that's part of the cost of the lift station, and that's inclusive. So he had put a allotment in there, or kind of an allowance for that rock removal, and that's what he indicates here was the $9,500. So he essentially priced the lift station and put in an extra $9,500. He assumed there would be one blast at worst case scenario for that. Ironically, if he could have busted it up with the equipment, he would have came out money ahead because that was all a lump sum price. In this particular case, he used that amount, plus he used this additional amount. And so that's where that additional blasting really came back as an additional cost, because he's saying that was just a condition I wasn't aware of. I had compensated for it, but yet it wasn't enough to cover the cost with what I had originally allocated.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions for Jason? All right. What's the will of the council?
I mean, I think that we should approve this. I'll make a motion to approve change order number 2 for the TID 4 utility project.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve change order number 2 for the TID number 4 utility project, which would be $17,000 to Forest Landscaping, correct?
25,795.
Where's that number?
The increase in this change order. It's the blasting as well as the increase in other rock removal and the T,
Which page is that on?
page 2.
$26,485? Is
That was the
correct?
previous change order. Go down 2 more lines to the increase for this change order.
$25,795?
Yeah.
Is that correct, Jason? Okay. Thank you for the clarification on that. So we have a motion and a second to approve the change order number 2 for TID number 4 utility project in the amount of $25,795. Any further discussion on the motion? If none, let's take a roll call on that, please.
Reed.
Aye.
Traxler.
Aye.
Malat.
Aye.
Hendrickson.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And Jason, per Matt's statement, I do think it would be prudent to at least ask the question to We Energies, just to follow up with them.
I will follow up.
Okay, thank you. On to number 3 then, is consider and take action on a renewal of an employment agreement between the City of Columbus and Columbus Professional Police Association Local 237. I believe we have a final copy of the contract at our desk. This was discussed in closed session due to confidentiality. I believe in the long run here, this contract will last 3 years, and I think it's pulling the union members a bit closer to the levels of the employer-employee ratios for the health care benefits and that non-representative employees are currently at. I don't think there was a whole lot of questions in the last meeting about that. Are there any further questions tonight about the contract? If none, I'll take a motion to approve the renewal of the employment agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the employment agreement between the City of Columbus and the Columbus Professional Police Association Local 237. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, could we please take a roll on that?
Traxler.
Aye.
Malat.
Aye.
Hendrickson.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Number 4 then is consider and take action on claims in the amount of $450,129.79. Any questions on the claims? One thing to note on the inside front page is that about $150,000 of that would be 2 payments for our new plow trucks. So, if there are no questions, I'll take a motion to approve the city claims then.
Motion to approve the claims?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the city claims in the amount of $450,129.79. Unless there's any questions, take a roll call on that.
Malat.
Aye.
Hendrickson.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Traxler.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you. On to report of city officers. I only had one thing this evening. Just a note for anybody that might be watching or interested in serving on any boards, committees, or commissions. We do have several vacancies right now, a couple citizen vacancies on the CDA. Also, I believe Tourism Commission has a vacancy and Cable Commission has a vacancy. There are others. Hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll be able to implement a online application process on the city website for people that are interested. But for now, feel free to contact me or City Hall if you have any interest in serving on any of those boards, committees, or commissions. So thank you. Patrick?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of announcements here. Property taxes continue to be accepted through January or before January 31st without penalty, so just a reminder there. Treasurer's office been busy collecting those. And a note on the spring elections coming up. Absentee ballots will be available starting on Tuesday, January 30th for the February 20th primary election. That's all I have.
Thanks. Anybody up here have anything to add? If none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll stand adjourned for a few minutes and return back with the committee of the whole meeting. Thank you.